everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Esther Krakue Show. Today, we're joined by one of America's most well-known and beloved conservative figures, the one and only Glenn Beck. Glenn shot to national attention in America as the host of his primetime Fox News show and in the leading light of the Tea Party. He then set up his own media network, The Blaze, and most recently, he has come out with a brilliant new book, Arguing with Socialists. And we'll put an Amazon link in the description for people to purchase, a UK Amazon link. But Glenn, thank you very much for coming today.
Esther, it's great to be with you.
So, Glenn, why did you write this book? And, why should our Turning Point UK members and followers get a copy?
Because you guys are deep in socialism, and there is an opportunity to be able to turn around and get out of it. I mean, people in America always say that Sweden is socialist. No, Sweden used to be socialist, and that was the first country that I know of that got out of socialism without a bloodshed and a revolution. And England could do the same. We unfortunately are way behind you guys in waking up to socialism. You guys have, it's weird. I have a friend, my assistant is actually from Scotland, and for the first few years that he was here, he was walking around going, I can't believe that you guys can do these things, and we're complaining going, I can't believe how oppressive it's becoming. But the whole world is going down this road of socialism, and your audience and what you guys are doing at Turning Point UK is so important. You guys could crack the shell of this, but you just need to be prepared with the right arguments and no straw man arguments.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, here on the UK side, we obviously saw the last general election, the complete thwarting of Jeremy Corbyn's led Labour Party. Obviously,
Yeah.
on the other side of the pond, we've noticed the Squad and Bernie Sanders supporters really getting a strong foothold in the Democratic Party. Do you think America would ever vote in a socialist into the White House?
Yes, I do.
Really?
I think there is. Yeah, I do. I think we could easily do that, especially with the coronavirus. What I said in January that the coronavirus is not going to be as deadly to people as it is going to be to the world economy, and to prepare for a global depression and famine and everything else. When people are hungry, when they are scared, when they don't have money, they turn to all kinds of crazy things. Anyone promises them anything, any kind of help, they run to it. I think globally, the West is in a very precarious situation. And what's so interesting is, on all continents, it's happening exactly the same way. If you're a Western country, the media and the politicians are not listening to people. This whole Brexit thing was so clear, at least to me, and maybe I'm wrong, you can correct me, but to me, because it's happening here in America, people elect people and then they say they're going to do things, and then they don't. They do the opposite. And you keep trying to elect people who are promising you these things, and they don't ever do it. And now, especially in the UK, and it's happening here in America, we're told that we can't fly our flag, or you can't be proud to be British or whatever. That's not racism. I just happen to be proud of my country and my heritage. That doesn't mean I at exclusion of everybody else. And so people feel as though they are losing control of the things they like. And that's what it means to be a conservative. Look at all of the things and conserve those pieces that are important and that work and are healthy, and discard the rest. The left always looks at the exact opposite. They want to discard all of the things that make us uniquely American or uniquely British. There's great stuff about Great Britain and America. There's great stuff about South Africa. There's bad things about all of those countries. So let's balance them and look for the good things and disregard the bad things. Get rid of those.
But I I mean, do you think there is much of a difference between sort of the moderate left and the far left? Because there's a lot of debate saying, oh, it's mostly the fringe parts of the Democratic Party, or in the UK, the momentum side of the Labour Party. But do you really think there is a difference between the moderate left and the far left?
I do to some degree, not as much as you're probably thinking these other experts are telling. I don't. I think the moderate left thinks they're using the radical left. And the radical left knows that if they can just get in and infect just enough, they'll be in control. And they'll eat the moderate left. There is no tolerance there. So real, true socialists do not tolerate anyone falling out of line. And that's by design. The interesting thing that I talk about in the very beginning of the book is you have to define communism, crony capitalism, the free market, socialism. So we look at these things. Socialism is actually the only place where the guns will have to come out. Okay. Yeah. Communism has never been done. Remember, it was the Soviet Socialist Republic. So they were socialist. Communism is that dream state. Okay, if Sweden is truly a great socialist, there's no need for guns and everybody does it. That's more communist than socialist, because we've branded the communist the bad part. But it's the socialist part that where you need the heavy artillery, you need the draconian laws, you need the concentration camps, you need the re-education, you need the brute force, because you're leaving capitalism and you've got at least 30 or 40% of the population saying, wait a minute, I'm not doing that. You're not taking my stuff and giving it to somebody else. That's where socialism comes in. They have to get rid of those people. That's why the uber left, if you allow them to infiltrate, they will kill you because you're never socialist enough for them.
It's really an all or nothing, sort of dynamic here. I mean, one of the things I have noticed...
Hang on just a second. May I just say this? There's a great book that everybody in the UK should read. It was banned in France, and some of the people went to jail. I talked about it probably 10 years ago. It's called... The
Algerian War.
It's called The Coming Insurrection. And it was written by lefties and professors in their universities. And it explains, they feel the same way we do, that we have elected these socialists or these lefties who have been telling us that they believe in all of these things, but they'll never really give us communism. They'll never go and close the free market. And so they feel disenfranchised as well. There is a massive ideological, hopefully, Cold War that is coming our way, but it could easily become a hot war.
Definitely. I mean, one of the things that I have noticed with conservatives and people on the left, particularly the far left, is conservatives often tell socialists they're wrong, and socialists tell conservatives they're evil, right? So I noticed a lot of the discourse that goes on between sort of the left and the right is, especially from the left side to the right, is a lot of character assassination. Why do you think a lot of people on the far left, in particular, feel the need to resort to sort of character assassination to get their point through?
So let me do it the opposite way. Let me talk about socialists, because this book, while it has, I'm riddled with ADD, so it's got, all kinds of, you can pick it up and open it and read it anywhere, and it's got a lot of humor and comedy in it. It's written for, like you. And it was important to me that we look at people and understand that we start at a place that the average person just wants to do good. Okay, you want to be happy. You want your family happy. You want a job, and you want other people to have a job. And you don't want anybody starving, and you don't want anybody thrown out of the hospital who is sick. Okay, let's just start with that. If you're 25 years old, your first memory, now this may be different for you in the UK, but in America, the first memory you might have is 9/11. So you were born, and your first memory is your country going to war, a war we're still in, fear, the economy was shaking, people lost their jobs. Then the next one is the 2008 banking crash. That is the big global thing that you might remember. Maybe your folks lost their life savings. You saw the banks get rich and the poor got screwed and the regular people got screwed as well. And now this. And what's happening? Your folks may have, lost their job or they're losing their business or whatever. If you're 25 years old, you've never seen the free market, but you've never seen capitalism work. What you've seen is crony capitalism, where the big guys keep getting bigger. The media is lying to you. It's a giant game. And if I was 25 years old and I didn't know what the record was of socialism, I would be saying it doesn't work either. I would say, why are we doing this? This obviously doesn't work except for a few people up at the top. If you start there, and we just don't worry about the names we're going to be called, but we actually look at people and say, look, I believe, and I'm not talking about the uber left. I'm not talking about the people who know. I'm talking about the average person who just wants to be more, be more Christ-like. Jesus had to be a socialist. No, he wasn't, because it was about changing the inner person. And government doesn't change the inner person. I've never on tax day felt charitable. But when I write a check or I do something for somebody else, I do feel charitable. But the government, tax day, just pisses me off.
Yeah, I think most people would agree with that, especially here in the UK in particular.
Yeah, what you guys put up with is insane.
Oh, you know what? I really want to talk about it because it hurts my soul.
Oh,
it really does. But you mentioned that conservatives mostly want to just conserve the good part of society. I mean, it is indicated in the name conservative. Is there any room for the left to be a good force? Do you think we can agree to disagree on certain issues, or is there any room for the left to actually have some good arguments on certain issues?
Well, it depends. In America, we are fortunate enough to have the Bill of Rights, and that changes everything for us. Our Declaration of Independence is the greatest mission statement of any group of people in the history of the world. For the first time, men sat down and wrote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to ensure those rights, governments are instituted among men." So our government is supposed to just protect rights. Now, we've never mastered our mission statement, okay? We've never really hit that. But our Bill of Rights, you have a right to speech and to assemble and to your stuff and your person and your intellect. Those things are worth protecting. If you can look at, let's say, our Bill of Rights and give me 8 out of the 10, because they're not American. The premise is they are given by God. You have a right to defend yourself. Just like a bear. You walk into a bear cave and you just want to pet the cute little baby bears. Nobody's feeling bad for you when the bear mauls you to death. Okay? That's a natural right to defend yourself. No one can take away that natural right. So if you can look at these natural rights and say, wait a minute, if I'm accused, I demand that a jury of my peers gets together and I know all of the evidence that you have against me and I can present my evidence. I need to know who my accuser is, and you have to prove that I'm guilty, not that I have to prove my innocence. If you look at our Bill of Rights and give me 8, I'm in. If you can't give me 8 out of the 10, we don't have enough in common. We have to have certain things in common. And the most important thing is that you believe in the individual right to succeed, and the individual right to fail, and the individual right to help that person out of your own feeling of compassion and love for your fellow man. You can help, or you can be a stingy SOB and not help. But it's your choice.
Your choice, yeah. So I see where you're coming from. There has to be sort of a common starting ground before there can actually be any, I suppose, productive input from the far left. That does make sense. I mean,
otherwise you're kind of like the Jews with Germany. Is there any common ground? Well, no, he's trying to eliminate all Jews, so I don't think we have enough in common. Well, we both like strudel. Not enough.
Yeah, that's not enough. I want to talk about your opinions on Trump, because obviously initially when he first announced that he was running for president, you weren't too sure about his commitment to conservatism and conservative values. What do you make of him now? Obviously, he's about to complete his first term, and we'll see what happens in the November elections. But what do you make of him now?
God help us. Now that
sorry.
So I talked to the president. I talked to the president a few months back, and he called me and he said, "Hey, thanks for your support, blah blah blah." And I said, "Mr. President, I said this during the campaign. I didn't believe you would do any of the things that you said you were going to do. But if you would do those things, I'd correct the record and I'd say I was wrong." I didn't believe it because he had no place where he had ever proved it. It was just him saying, "Yep, I'm going to do that." Well, a lot of people would say they were going to do that. And politicians just don't keep their promises usually. He has. The last test for me was I was afraid that, and I said this back in 2016 or 15, at the end of the term of the next president, it would be Donald Trump. I said, there's going to be a depression. It's going to happen. This thing is going to collapse on itself, and there'll be a depression. And if Donald Trump is in, he will become draconian, and he will make FDR or any of the big lefties that just grabbed government control, and he will make them look like rookies. The press has been urging him to take more power, and he keeps insisting, no, I don't tell businesses what to do. I don't tell states what to do. That's for the state and the local governments to do. He's passed the last big hurdle for me. I think he's done a great job. You don't have to like him. You don't have to think he's funny. I personally have started to appreciate his sense of humor. But you do have to recognize that he has done the things that he said he would.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing for any politician.
It is.
I don't have to go to dinner with you every night to just, like the fact that you've done your job. So I think that's what a lot of people miss. And we have a lot of students watching this show right now, and we've been hearing a lot of discourse in the UK that the US is not our special ally. The most recent person that said that was Owen Jones, who's quite a famous left-wing figure in the UK. What do you make of the special relationship between the US and the UK?
We're brothers. We are from the same stock. We have the same history. We just disagreed with the king, and I think probably when you get Charles up there, you might be wanting to join us. But we disagree. We disagreed. We believed in the power of the individual. We didn't. It's really interesting to me how. Let me give you a left-handed compliment. Boris Johnson just had a child. He's not married. That literally makes that child literally a bastard child. That's the worst thing that you could have called somebody in merry old England, because you have to have a title and a pedigree, and you're from this family, and so you can do these things. Congratulations. I mean, it's not something I would celebrate it culturally, but congratulations. That system is officially broken when he stands up there with a child who's literally the definition of a bastard child and is like, yeah, this is my kid. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what this kid wants to do. This kid can do. I mean, it amazes me to think. I've got a friend in Ireland who's like, Glenn, I can't do those things. I can't be this. I can't do this because I don't come from the right people. I don't have the right connections. That's insane to me. I grew up working class family. I've done my genealogy. We're a bunch of nobodies. I mean, in the Civil War, my great uncle and my great grandfather joined. Within a week, they were in a concentration camp. Okay. I mean, nobodies, losers. I had nothing. I'm a self-made man. And look what I've accomplished. That is what you guys should be striving for right now. And that's what's so exciting about what you're doing with Turning Point. You are awakening a sleeping giant. You know, where we are, I feel, until Turning Point in America, I feel like we were really falling asleep and the youth was like, they were going to big government. I couldn't imagine. How can a group of people that grew up with YouTube, where anyone can say anything, anyone can do anything, you can become anything. If you have something unique, people will flock to you. How does that generation not understand true individual freedom? Well, the good news is you do. You do. And you're seeing through all of the bullcrap that's been happening to you guys for centuries. That's remarkable. And there is a chance, if you get it, it's your generation. If you get it, man will be more free than any time ever before. You have the opportunity to free people far more than any of the Americans did at the founding. They changed the world. That's going to look like baby steps compared to what you guys can do because of technology if you just stick together and know that the principle is, I don't have to like you, I don't have to agree with you, but I will die by your side for your right to be you, as long as you're not trying to oppress someone else.
Yeah, definitely. So I have one last question for you, Glenn. What is your message to the young British audience about how they can fight the creeping force for socialism in the UK?
Do not get wrapped up with people who are not happy warriors. Nobody wants to hang around a group of people who are pissed off or angry, are setting stuff on fire, carrying baseball bats, whatever. You just don't want to be around them. I mean, my theory is if you walk into any room, any conference room or any big, ballroom or something like that, and there's a group of people that are just fighting among themselves in one corner, and then another corner, there's a group of people that are just laughing and having a good time. There's no way you walk over to those people. You walk over to the people and you go like, what is happening in here? And they're like, I know, they're crazy, right? Yeah. You've got to be open. You have to be honest. You have to always search. Thomas Jefferson said something that changed my life. He wrote it to his nephew, Peter Carr, in a letter. Peter's mother had died, and a few years later, Peter's dad was dying. And so he reached out to Thomas Jefferson and said, could you please help educate my son when he comes of age? So he writes this beautiful letter to him when he comes of age. And here's what you need to do in mathematics. And here's with language. Never read a book out of its own native tongue because you'll lose too much. He talks about science and technology, everything. The last one is religion. And he writes this: above all things, when it comes to religion, fix reason firmly in her seat, and question with boldness the very existence of God. For if there be a God, he must surely rather honest questioning over blindfolded fear. Yeah. I had just read Immanuel Kant, where he said, there are many things that I believe that I shall never say, but I shall never say the things that I do not believe. And I read that in the 1990s, and I could not get my arms around what kind of a world do you have to live in where you're a famous philosopher. You're the guy who says, hey, I think this is a collection of stars, the Milky Way. I think this might be like a galaxy. Okay? You're that guy. And you have things that you're afraid to say. What kind of world? Well, this one, this world. But what Thomas Jefferson said was right. No matter what it is, fix reason in her seat and just come with honest questioning. This is the problem with the media. This is the problem with trying to argue with socialists or them trying to argue with conservatives. If you're not willing to change your mind, if someone makes a great case, then you're not being honest. Stop trying to be right. Just seek the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And if you're a happy truth seeker, with the exception of Socrates, you're going to change the world, and you'll be fine.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Glenn. It's been a pleasure having you.
Oh, it's great. I can't tell you how I said this at SAS in Florida a few months ago when I first discovered you guys. You truly give me hope. You really give me hope. And you give so many people here in America hope that this generation is going to change things. This generation gets it. Don't get down. Don't lose sight. You are the generation. You were born at this time for a reason. You are going to change the world for the better. Because of you, more people will be free. That's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless.